At this point, I sound like a broken record for saying this over and over again, but these things don't go hand in hand. Just because you hang the crucifix on the wall in your living room, while at the same time calling on the evil spirits, I mean, is it any surprise if there's any demonic manifestations at home?
So I was just here playing with the Ouija board, and I just had this crazy curiosity. So I was playing with the Ouija board, and I was asking questions by mouth. So I was like, "Are you here?" or this and that, or that, or this, or whatever, right? But and then I was like, "Let me ask the same questions through the Ouija board." So that doll that I have here on my 666 chair, right, has been making some weird sound. Now, what kind of sounds or who could have been provoking the doll, right?
So can someone please tell him that what he's doing is in fact a mortal sin, and it is a violation of the first commandment. What he's doing really is a form of divination or a search for hidden knowledge from sources other than God. Now moving on to the second case study, there's this trend on TikTok where parents yell Jessica to snap their toddlers out of tantrums. I feel like this isn't a great approach. I'll try to ask the priest about it, but what do you think?
Jessica? Jessica?
Jessica?
Jessica? Jessica? Are you there? Jessica? Jessica, are you here?
Recently, I shared a long clip of Father Iannuzzi with all of you on judgment, and how we must be careful not to take upon ourselves God's judgment. And truly, we should condemn the sin, but not condemn the sinner. Hate the sin, not the sinner, right? And I came across this video of someone hating the church and doesn't want to go to the church anymore because of the people around her judging her and so on. But this also brings to mind, and something worth remembering, we don't leave Jesus because of Judas, remember?
I have a deep, immense, true admiration for Christians who walk the walk. I'm talking about kind, understanding, peaceful, loving, really, truly leading with spirit. And I know a few of those people. What I know way more of is church people. And church people are one of the main reasons why I don't go to church anymore, and why I have such a deep, deep irritation with the entire idea of organized religion. It is such a put on. It is such a performance. It is such a, God doesn't play about me. Forget what you've done here on this earth, picking and choosing which Bible verses apply loosely to who you want to hate this week, because there is no hate like Christian love. So in some ways, I'm kind of grateful that I don't actually have to sound like a crazy person anymore when I say that, most Christians are wild hypocrites and they don't follow the teachings of Jesus. And it really has just become a club to judge other people and say that you're going to heaven for doing that. So yeah, if there's any confusion, I love gay people also. I don't care if the result of that is me going to whatever hell you have imagined for me and them to go to. I don't care if you think the truth is that God will not accept it. I don't care about that. That is your reality. That's your journey, okay? It has nothing to do with me. Your imagination has nothing to do with me. It does not apply to my reality.
And since I've just shared that clip of Father Iannuzzi on being careful not to take upon ourselves God's judgment, let me share this one instead on praying to God that no souls go to hell. Listen to this.
Now, was there something wrong if we should pray for all souls and ask God that no souls go to hell? Is that a wrong prayer? No, there's nothing wrong with that. Even though someone may know that that some souls are in hell, there's nothing wrong to pray to God that no souls be lost. One may say, well, that makes no sense. It's a silly prayer. God would never answer that because there are souls lost. Well, then tell me, why would Jesus use that expression? And should we not follow our Master? Jesus, on the one hand, acknowledges that some souls are in hell, but yet he prays to the Father that no souls be lost. Why would Jesus do that, if not for the fact that to God nothing is impossible? So, we can pray as if everyone's life depended upon our own prayers. But we may also know in our mind that souls may be lost and are lost. But still, it should not dampen our enthusiasm. It should not quench our desire, our founded hope that in some way God can ransom all things. Now, what can he ransom? When God beholds Jesus, when the Father sees his divine Son, he sees all the acts of all souls saved within him. So Jesus, therefore, had to take upon himself while on earth the state of despair of all the souls in hell in order to ransom their acts to glorify the Father, so that the Father would get the glory as if no one was damned. See where I'm going with this? The desire to pray that no souls are lost is in essence a prayer that we save all the acts of all souls that existed. And this will indeed be done by the souls who live in the divine will.
And if there's a clip that I'd like to share with that person in particular, it will be this. And to everyone listening, I hope you'll find this one useful as well.
God's purifying the soul. See, through consolations, desolations, privations, contrasts, dying to itself and all else. Now, what are these consolations, desolations, privations, and so forth? If not, the inconveniences that beset us, that overwhelm us sometimes in life, that we don't expect, or that we are prepared for, that come nonetheless. They could be a death in the family, an illness, an accident, a loss of finances, a loss of a loved one, a relationship, a friendship, feeling solitude, desolation, depression. In all these things, God is the one who is at work in us. When we experience, for example, a slight sharp pain out of nowhere, it could be arthritis, right? It could be, I don't know, a pinched nerve. Or if we even experience a moment of depression out of nowhere. These are invitations of Jesus to us to resign ourselves to that moment and to offer that pain up to him, knowing that he is giving it to us for a reason, even though we do not know the reason. It nonetheless comes from above. Now, some of you may say, wait a minute, cannot Satan do these things too? Yes, of course he can. But the fact that God permits it, whether it comes from God or from Satan, tells us that it comes, whether directly or indirectly, from God with a reason. So, regardless of where it comes, we can still offer it up. Take as an example Christ, crucified unjustly by Roman centurions at the request of the Jews. Was this from God? Of course not. God cannot will evil. He cannot will these people to kill his Son. That is absurd. Nor can he will original sin. But God permitted these things through the agency of the devil, knowing that Christ would offer his sufferings up for the salvation of many, and that we would offer up all the difficulties, pains, desolations, privations, and so forth, which come ultimately through original sin, for the salvation and sanctification of others. So God's purification serves to dispose the soul by reforming its intentions and actions in this way, so that it becomes one with him and comes to detest and avoid all formal sin.
And I came across this video on YouTube Shorts, and this guy was talking about what he experienced after playing the Spirit board. Of course, I'm not sharing this kind of video for the sake of sharing. I was actually reminded of Father Rehill's warning before about these things, and this guy seems like he thinks it's all fun and games.
In 2019, I used to use a Ouija board a lot. After using it for a couple weeks in a row, we noticed in our house that there was something mimicking our voices. One day after I had left the house, my wife calls and she says, "Scott, where are you?" And I said, "I'm in the car." And she said, "You're not downstairs then?" And I said, "No, I'm in the car down the block. Why?" She said, "Well, then I guess it wasn't you calling me from downstairs then." Yeah, it sure wasn't. And that was the first time that I thought maybe it's time to put down the Ouija board and do something else.
And now, listen to what Father Rehill had to say when it comes to these things.
So what does happen? Well, there are times when we can let certain things into our lives that can create open doors, we call them. And an open door is a situation where we would literally be stepping away from God's protection and inviting in evil. Oftentimes, people do this without knowing, because we've become such an uncatechized world in the last couple of decades. Ouija boards, you might think it's a game. The devil doesn't play games. He's in it for all the high stakes, your soul. If you have played with a Ouija board, you must go to confession. And I would say, if you have one, what you must do is pour holy water over it, and then I would burn it. At the very least, throw it out, or bring it to your priest and tell him you don't want it anymore, and he can take care of it. All these sort of things. Consulting mediums or psychics. I don't care what the medium or psychic tells you. They could say that they speak to the Blessed Mother. If they're channeling spirits, they're not working with God, because God's forbidden this in the scriptures. I know people have went and said, well, there was a statue of the Blessed Mother on her desk. Yeah, but she's talking to a demon. And the demon knows that because you're pursuing information that isn't really available to you through natural means, that you're going around God's laws, that he has access to you now. And he can attach himself to you and come home with you and wreak havoc in your house. The New Age movement, opening chakras, transcendental meditation, Reiki, all these things, they have spirits attached to them. Even yoga, the yoga poses, they have spirits attached to them. You shouldn't be doing those. It's fine to stretch, but those literal positions, the downward dog and all that, not healthy. There's many ways. I have a case I'm working on still of a young man who wanted to open his third eye, and he went onto YouTube to figure out how to do that. And as he was watching this video on how to open his third eye, he felt a spirit went into him. And over time, it took full possession of him. And he's still troubled today. It's been a very difficult case. So curiosity is not a virtue. Let me say that again. Curiosity is not a virtue. So do not look at these things that are in the darkness, in the occult world, with a fascination. Excuse me. By doing so, you could be opening up a door and having things enter into you. You don't want to do that. Drug use can also be an open portal. And certainly any kind of witchcraft or the occult would be a direct link to the devil. So you don't want to go near anything or anyone who's dabbling in that stuff. That would be dangerous. So that's just some of the ways that these things can happen. Again, just so you can be educated that this is real. The devil has an end game, and it's that you would join him in hell. And of course, we would never want to do anything to jeopardize our place in paradise with Jesus.
Well, I guess that is all for the video this time. Again, thanks so much for your time spent here with us, and hopefully all of you have learned a lot from this one.